Hi. Today's Sunday, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about staying focused. Um, I've noticed that, it's hard for me at times. I think it's hard for all of us. But, you know, as we go through life, as we go through everything we're doing, we're all trying to follow whatever we're trying to follow or do whatever, accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. Um, it's so important to stay focused and stay grounded. Um, I I noticed today, I was walking and I was bumping into people. I'm a social butterfly, so are my animals. So we tend to attract a lot of people and they want to talk to us. So anyway, as I was walking, I saw this neighbor of mine, and he wanted to chat with me. And she was bringing up, oh, there's a game called pickleball in my neighborhood, and it's actually really wonderful because it gets a lot of older people um, in the community that get out and play. And it's kind of like a tennis, but it's not quite as strenuous as tennis. It's a little bit lighter of a game. Um, and it's actually really sweet because I see a lot of people that probably otherwise wouldn't get out as much, wouldn't exercise, wouldn't get something, physically done, accomplished. And so they get out, and not only that, they also socialize with each other, which I think is just great. I watch this and I think, it's great. It's not very noisy. It's a kind of a light game. It's the ball, I think, is sort of a plasticky type of ball, so it actually doesn't make a whole lot of sound. The most sound I hear is people kind of oh, oh, making noise because they're doing the exercise and grunting and jumping and whatnot. And but I mean, I do see a lot of seniors. And so I think I just think it's wonderful that they do it. So this neighbor of mine today was asking if I belonged to the neighbor association, and I didn't get into a long drawn out discussion with them, but no, I don't. Um, I really can't be bothered with all the lower frequency stuff about that's a whole nother subject, which I'm not going to get into right now. But anyway, so I said no, I don't, but I know of it. And he said, yeah, he goes, he apparently had just joined because apparently some of the neighbors in the neighborhood have been complaining about the noise from the pickball or whatever they call it. And I just thought, you're kidding me. First of all, it doesn't. People don't even play it, I think, until at least 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's like 3 times a week, and it's 9, 10, around that time, maybe goes to 11, something like that. Which is that most people at work, those that aren't are genuinely are retired. It doesn't make that much noise. I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, I'm out walking. My dog's sometimes finishing up, but like I said, it's kind of a joyous sound to me because it means people are out getting some exercise, and it's something like that, or like I said, older people do, which I think is wonderful. And it's a social way out for them also to socialize. So anyway, he said, yeah, apparently there have been neighbors that have been complaining and they're trying to shut it down. And I just thought, we talked a little bit, and I'm trying not to judge, but I got to admit, I thought, this is a situation, I think, where you've got people that just have nothing better to do, and maybe the sound is irritating them watching TV or something. I don't know. Uh, but I thought, how sad, because, this is something that's really a really good thing for the community and for people. Um, but then I also thought to myself, okay, well, I'm not going to get too in depth in this conversation because it's also a frequency that I don't even want to go to. I mean, it's like, I don't want to start talking about the neighborhood and the association and the rules and all those things. It's like, I mean, we touched base very briefly, on politics, and I just said, I don't discuss politics with anybody. And, personally, I don't really want to get involved with any of it because I'm not really crazy about much that's going on in politics. Let me put it that way. And I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to get into any political debate with anybody. It really has no interest to me. And I don't believe it's really an avenue for a lot of change. Let me put it that way. And that's all I'm going to say, because I'm not here to talk about politics or to change your mind or to get you to sway to think the way I do or the way somebody else does or any of that. It's absolutely no interest to me at all. So, but it did make me think that we get swayed off our purpose so easily. And I can see how it's so hard for people to stay at a higher frequency. You really have to work at it, and you have to work at it all the time because there's a constant barrage of stuff coming at you. And you either have to already have elevated yourself to a frequency where nothing's going to change that. And it doesn't matter what somebody says or what comes at you. You don't interact with it. You don't allow it in to your space. And that is very possible. It is definitely your choice to what you allow in and what you don't, and to what frequency you decide you're going to stay at. So I think it's important to remember that we individually are in charge of what we allow into our space and what we don't, what frequencies we allow to change, to change us or to not. And I think it's important to remember that the deeper you go, the more you do the work, the easier it is to stay at a frequency you want to be in. I was talking actually to another very dear friend who's such a beautiful person, but there's little things that get to her, I mean, she loves to live her life clear and easy and beautiful, and she's starting to shape it the way she wants it to be and look, which I think is wonderful. But I also watch her, and I try not to say too much. I mean, I'll give her advice if she wants it, and I'll share with her when she asks for it, or if she's, but I try not to also force anything onto her, because I don't believe that that's my place to do with anybody. Um, but I notice with her, that as much as she tries to stay really even keel and happy and in this place, she gets triggered, by things like we all do. She gets triggered, and the things she gets triggered at, and it's interesting because I notice them so much more now because I don't let things like that trigger me anymore. I've raised my frequency at such a point that those things there, that frequency, don't bother me anymore, um, because I don't allow them and I don't interact with them and I don't let my frequency go down there. Um, and she was talking about, oh, it's somebody had said, and then somebody had done, and somebody had, and I just thought to myself, or her kids trigger her, she's still got an issue with boundaries and saying what she really wants and having the boundaries so people understand she's serious. And she had a situation come up with a client, and the client wasn't paying her. I hadn't paid her for for like 3 weeks. And I really urged her. I said, you need to just nip this in the bud real quickly and say, I'm a I'm a woman, an entrepreneur woman in business. And so are you. And I'm sure you appreciate a good businesswoman. And I expected, you know, I have done service for you and I expect my payment this day at this time. And if you can't fulfill that, then I cannot keep working for you. And I told her, I said, the universe is throwing this at you because it's testing you. You said you want more of this kind of client in your life. Well, the universe is saying, really? Is that what you really want? Because if that's what you really want, okay, but let's test you and see. So let's see, are you willing to keep taking this kind of client and the death that's coming at you? Because if you are, you don't really care. You don't really expect to have this other kind of client. If you're still accepting to be treated in that way. And I've also seen it with family members. She's allowed, like her son can treat her very disrespectfully. And, I think I don't know, I'm not a mother myself, but except for animals, but, there's a bond I've noticed with mothers and children that sometimes there are those mothers that are always trying to teach and nurture, but in a strong way so that their children really learn how to make their own decisions and stand on their own, but they also respect each other and give each other respect to other human beings. And in this case, I noticed that there isn't a lot of respect in this particular case. But it doesn't surprise me because this person is also divorced, and the little bits I've heard that there wasn't a whole lot of respect from the husband, the ex-husband. And he's never really had her back. So I thought, well, it makes sense then that the son has learned some of those traits, some of those behaviors. because that's what he saw. And then it didn't get enforced that was not okay because the mom didn't have the boundaries. So here I saw her doing this with this client, and I don't want to get in there and over push. I don't want to over say, but it was actually really joyous because I did recommend to her that I think it was really important that if this is what she wanted to keep attracting more of the types of clients that she said she wanted, then she had to show the universe that she meant it. And I'm so proud of her because she told me, she said she did it. She told this person, and this person said, well, will you accept a check? And she said, of course I will. And the person paid her. And I thought, I am so proud of her because she stepped in, and I said, you've just done something wonderful. You've stepped over a hurdle because the universe now knows that you're serious, and what you're asking for is this. And I think that's wonderful. It's just amazing. So, and we all go through it. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else. I mean, I have to work at it in certain situations. There's certain things that come up that I have certain blocks that I'm more aware of it now because I'm working constantly on my blocks. I'm constantly working at staying at a higher frequency and raising my frequency. So I'm working on all of that all the time rather than, dabbling at it here and there when I see it. And I think that's just a difference in where I'm at. But there was also something else I mentioned. I just gently mentioned something about, doing meditation, because meditation really helps you to go inside, to calm yourself down, to balance, to work on your frequency, to stay at a frequency. And it was so cute. She was like, let's not even go there. She was not even ready for that right now. And I just respectfully stepped back and just thought, okay, let that one go for now. Until and unless she wants that, there's no need to bring it up. So anyway, but it just reminded me how, we're all constantly allowing not having these boundaries, which are so important. And then we get upset. We get upset with other people or situations or whatnot when it's not anything else's or anybody else's, I guess fault is the only way to put it. It's nobody's fault, but it's responsibility of ourselves. Because if I don't set boundaries, how can I then sit and blame this situation or that person for what's not working the way I want it to work in my life? If I set the boundaries, then it's very clear. And the situation is understood, or the people understand what my boundaries are. And then I get what I want the way I want the situation to be, because I've created the boundaries. And I think it's so important for us to start facing that and realizing it, waking up to that, because it has nothing to do with anybody else or a situation. It has to do with our own choices and what we choose. And also, when we make those boundaries, do we make those boundaries grumbling, Okay, well, it's the way I want it to be. Or do we make those boundaries out of joy, out of love and joy, and sheer happiness that we realize we can create this and go, wow, this is my choice and my power to create this. How amazing is that? I can create the way I want, whatever I want to happen in my life. And I can create the space, I can create the energy, I can create the way the energy is around me. I can create the people that are coming to me. I can create the situations coming to me, all by creating the kind of boundaries that I choose. And isn't that just amazing? It has nothing to do with anybody else or anything else. It's all up to me. And I think, once we start seeing it that way and stepping into it as our responsibility to ourselves, I mean, it can become so much fun. And joy is not a chore and not something that's difficult and not something that, oh God, I don't want to have to say that to that person, or I don't want to have to, you know, make that limit in my life. Well, that's just an excuse of either a fear or being rejected, being told, no, you can't. Where if it's your choice, and this is what you want for your life, there is no rejection. You make those boundaries or you don't. You make that choice. And to me, it's such a enlightenment. It creates a space of more space and more openness and more awareness and more achievement and more light, and it's absolutely thrilling to step into more of me, you know, and more of my choices, and then more of my power. And it makes you realize, well, if I can do this, I sky's the limit, you know. I can do anything. I can create. I've had a quiet weekend, and I've had a lot of. I felt like I needed a lot of sleep this weekend, and I have. I've been sleeping like about 11 hours, so my body's needed it. And I'm now starting to come out of that cocoon. I'm starting to feel better and stronger, and I'm actually going to see a new naturopath tomorrow. I need somebody to do some blood work and check on my numbers and check where I'm at, because I think things are really changing in my body. The more of the work I'm doing to heal myself, I'm feeling better. I'm looking better. I'm sounding better. So I want to see now where my numbers reflect from where I was just about 2 months ago, which my numbers were literally in the toilet. Um, so it'll be very interesting to see, because I can feel a physical change. So I'm very curious to see where I'm at. And I also go with a completely open heart and mind, because I realize I could get a piece of paper that says your numbers look horrible, but I feel different. So I go by how I feel, much more importantly than a piece of paper of numbers. But I am very curious to see what the numbers say, because, like I said, I feel a big change, and I'm seeing a change. I'm seeing, it more and more. Um, and like I said, I've needed more and more rest, and now I seem to be coming out of that. I mind you, I was on a 10-day detox, so, and that can cause, a lot of need for more sleep and more care to one's body, and nurturing. Um, anyway, though, I'll get into that more as I see. Like I told you, I'm on a new protocol, and I'm still not talking about it yet because I really want to see. I want to see how I wanted to go through the detox first. Then I want to see how I feel on the new protocol for a while. And I also want to see visually how it's affecting me and physically. And then I want to see if it's changed anything with my numbers. As you can see, my nails are doing great. They're growing like crazy and they're strong. But anyway, bit by bit, I think I'm really climbing out of a lot of struggle I've been through. And I'm finding that there is something also very curious I want to learn more about is I've had a lot of things affecting my right side, like my right foot in particular. I've had things happen to. Nothing on my left foot. My left foot is great. My right foot, and if I'm correct, I believe is running with my masculine energy. So I think there's been a struggle with the masculine and the feminine, which I have had a tendency most of my life. I ran masculine energy most of my life. And it's only in the last couple of years if I started to balance my masculine and feminine and allow my feminine to get strong. I'll give you an example. Almost most of my life, most of the men in my life, and I had a time where it was a pretty good revolving door. I had a lot of fun. But most of the men in my life either were real strong or needed to be helped, which I took that role on over and over, or I would get a lot of feedback, and the feedback was, you can't be the way you are. You can't act the way you do. You can't speak the way you do, because men don't like that. You're too outspoken. You're too forward. You come off too strong. They want somebody meeker and milder. And I would look at guys and just like with this quizzical look like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, why should I conform from who I am to fit in your bubble? That's your bubble, not mine. I am who I am. And interestingly enough, then I didn't have the boundaries. So I didn't realize that was me. That was my strength. There was nothing for me to feel badly or uncomfortable or allow anybody to come in and change my frequency on that, which I did. I did a lot because I would say, well, that's not fair. But then I, of course, later would then feel really rejected by it, by the words, because I'd think, well, why am I not okay? Why can I not be that way? Why can I not be who I am? And I've heard that since I was a kid, since I was a little kid. I was too energetic. I was too bouncy. I was too vocal. My opinions were too strong. It was like, since as little as I can remember, I was too stubborn. There were only, I was lucky. I did have some people in my life that rejoiced in it and thought it was amazing. I had a godfather that never said I was to anything. He just thought I was amazing. And although he didn't believe in anything after death, that was our only sort of wall that we hit, because I have always known there was more. And he and his wife were completely like, I actually shouldn't say that. I never really heard him say the words. I heard her say the words. So she didn't believe in anything. I do think I did hear him say something like he there really wasn't anything. They didn't believe in therapy. They didn't believe in, you either took your lumps or you didn't, kind of thing. Mind you, that was a generational thing as well. He was born in a completely different generation. He was raised in a completely different way. He was raised with a different mindset. He wasn't raised, as a starseed, as a child or I should say he wasn't a starseed. And he wasn't raised to believe in himself. I was very fortunate because the mother I had saw the gifts in me. And I mean, we started when I was very, very young, and she wanted me to be whatever came out of me, to dance, to sing, to see the fairies, to understand the beauty, to accept nature, to understand that, being close to spirit was wherever you were, wherever you felt it in your heart. If it was, and she obviously, we didn't really do church. I think we went to church for an Easter, for Christmas singing kind of thing. And I was in a Christian Catholic school for a while where I was supposed to go to church in the mornings, but if you were late, you didn't have to go. And I was always late, so I never attended. But she basically said to me, church was wherever I felt it in my heart. And nature was a big part for us. So we got nature all the time. And we watched for the fairies. And there were so many things she allowed me to use I would have said, I would say then in my imagination, now I understand what I really knew, what I really understood, what I really was seeing. Because none of it was imagination. It was all real. And they're all beautiful gifts that I've been given. And now that I can step into them and understand them, I'm just thrilled, because it's like, wow, now I'm expanding with the gifts and I'm allowing them to integrate into my life in such a way that it's amazing. It's an amazing way to live, and it's amazing to embrace. So anyway, I just wanted to touch base with you and talk about boundaries briefly, because it's something I see. It's something I'm working on too. And it's another part of getting better and healing, and really stepping into more and more of full healing. And I really am starting to see this light emerging of me coming through all of this health struggle, all of this, everything I've gone through all my life, whether it be, since a child, because sicknesses, illnesses, accidents, you name it. My life has been literally one thing after another thing after another thing, which I now can see, a lot of that is brought on by my choices. And my frequencies and my journey. Because my ultimate journey, I didn't see it when I was younger. I did when I was very young, and then, like I told you, I fell off the path. When my mom died, that was just such a hurdle for me, and it was at such a difficult age, and I just didn't understand it. So it was very difficult for me to navigate through that. And I just sort of blocked it all out and went into this sort of illusionist world, which worked for me, but also caused me to keep having all kinds of accidents and health problems and issues because I was blocking out who I truly was. And now that I'm finally going back to who I truly am and stepping into the woman that I truly am, the being, the soul that I truly am, I'm starting to come through and I'm starting to grow and heal. Um, and it's amazing. It's an amazing journey. Uh, it's when you really step into who you are, it's like beginning all over again and being a child and waking up and going, wow, everything is so amazing, everything's so wonderful. So anyway, I wanted to just have a little brief share with you, and happy Sunday, and my love to all of you, and here's to bouncing back. And I will talk to you soon, and I'll give you an update soon on, what happens with this new doctor. So it'll be very interesting to see. I will see you soon. All my love. Bye.